We are beginning our first of 3 chapters that have to do with equilibrium. This first chapter is just chapter 15 is just straight up what we just call this equilibrium, and then we'll get a little more specific in chapters 16 and 17. But let's begin. Equilibrium occurs when the rate of exchange, products and reactants, is equal but not equal in concentration. So in other words, going back and forth between reactants and products, that's equal, but the concentrations could be different. I'll keep saying that over and over again as we're kind of going through this discussion. So for example, we've got some reactant, and these arrows, the way I'm drawing them, kind of one up, one down kind of thing, back and forth, that indicates the reaction goes in both directions. We've kind of nibbled at this a little bit in a couple previous conversations. This is the first time we're really going at it, saying that reactions go back and forth. Up to this point, maybe you've kind of just given it the thought that reactions just go from left to right. And sometimes they do. Think like combustion reactions. But a lot of reactions don't. They kind of have a balance between reactants and products. Doesn't mean they're equal. The exchange back and forth is equal, but it may be 90% products, 10% reactants, or any other variety of portions you want to think of. Okay, so let's talk about how we can think of this using chapter 14 as a reference. If we want to look at reactants as something we're dealing with, which is typically what we did in chapter 14, we have the rate of reaction, and then we have K, and just to signify this, I'm going to put a little F here for forward reaction. And I will write down the reactant that we have. And I am going to assume that this is a one-step reaction. In other words, there's not multiple steps, fast step, slow step, that whole thing. It's just one step. I've tested this and I know that is how it behaves. Therefore, also with that understanding, this coefficient becomes its exponential value in the other direction. We'll get there. Like we'll get there now. If I look at the other direction, so I'm assuming these are my reactants. So if I do it from that perspective, the rate would be K, and I'm going to put a little R here, I'll use a capital, for the reverse reaction, starting from the products towards the reactants. So in this case, these are like my reactants, if you want to think of it that way. And then I'll write NO2, and the coefficient becomes the exponential factor, so second order, if you will, in this reverse reaction. So the one thing we just stated a little bit ago, whenever a reaction comes to equilibrium, so initially it's not. I just start off with this stuff and I let it rip, and then eventually I start making products and it goes back and forth. Once it appears that nothing else is changing, it's found its equilibrium, meaning the rates are equal, going back and forth. Therefore, here's our leap that we're making. Kf N2O4 is equal to Kr NO2 to the second power. And if I combine like terms, this is where things start to get exciting. That's supposed to be a lowercase, but whatever. Whatevs. NO2, again, just combining like terms. N2O4. That's it. Well, almost it. I'm going to take these are two rate constants, right? So a constant over a constant just generates some new constant. And here is that new constant. This one actually is a capital K. I seem to always make them look like capitals, but in this case it actually is a capital. And this is what is called the rate. I'm sorry, I'm going back to my chapter 14 stuff. Not the rate constant. These are rate constants. This is called the equilibrium constant. Equilibrium constant. And that's the big takeaway, the big thing we're going after in chapter 15 and beyond. See, my focus is a little fuzzy there. There we go. That's a little better. All right, let's keep going. And I'm going to make two little graphy things here. First one, to give us again a little bit of perspective of what's going on here. We've got time and we've got concentration. Whoops, just a little period here. And again, we're going to use this as our perspective, and we pretend that this is the only thing that we have in the container initially. So if that's the only thing that we have in the container initially, I'm going to make a point up here, whatever the value this is. I got 100% of that. And I will put N2O4 for initial amount. And as far as the product, initially, I don't have any. And I'll write that over here. NO2. So I don't have any to begin with. Now, as the reaction proceeds, of course, this is going to start going down. As much as I'm ever going to have is the beginning. And this is going to increase starting from nothing. So as time progresses, I'll get something like this. Eventually, it evens out at some amount. It doesn't matter, some amount. And this is going to decrease by some amount, and then eventually stay the same. So at some point, again, this is constant and this is constant. The concentrations will always stay the same. Notice, of course, these numbers aren't equal. The concentrations are not equal to each other. I start off with a certain amount and it changes after I reach equilibrium, and the same for NO2. So that's one way you can kind of think of it. They're not equal, but they're constant. Another way we can look at this from a different perspective, still dealing with time, and we'll look at the rate of exchange. And up here again, we'll start off with N2O4 concentration, and the other one will start off with nothing, and that will be NO2. Again, initially, because I have all of this reactant, the reaction is very fast, but as the reaction starts to go along, losing the amount of reactants, it slows down, but eventually becomes some constant speed, rate of reaction. The opposite happens with NO2. This starting off initially, I don't have anything, so it's not really going anywhere. But as I start to add some of that concentration, it speeds up, speeds up, speeds up, and eventually becomes constant. And these two eventually will have the same rate of reaction. It is equal, which is what we saw up here. The rate eventually becomes equal, and this goes on forever, unless there's a disturbance in the system, which we'll get into in a later discussion. Okay, let's just begin the next little part here, and then we'll see where this goes. We will mention something quite interesting. You should do some research of this on your own. I'll mention just a little bit here. It's the Haber-Bosch process. Very interesting process from a couple different historical perspectives. What it allows is to take nitrogen gas, which many times we kind of think of it as inert. 78% of the air is composed of nitrogen gas, and we have absolutely, again, it's inert. We have no use for it. It's essential for plant growth. So, for example, when you put fertilizer on your plants, the big thing you're going after there is nitrogen. And it's necessary, but plants can't utilize atmospheric nitrogen. It has to be fixed. Well, this process allows us to take atmospheric nitrogen and turn it into ammonia, which is available for plant use artificially. Okay, so we have our equation here, and the way we kind of set it up, kind of using the same format we did right up here, we're going to write it and give you a different process to kind of put this together. Products over reactants is the way you do it. The coefficients become exponents. And I'll give you a general term beginning in the next lecture after I kind of finish putting this together. Don't forget these little brackets stand for concentration. So NH3 to the second power over second power because of the 2 coefficient. NH2 raised to the first power, and H2 raised to the third power. And again, I'm just taking the coefficients and making them the exponential values. The way you always want to think of it is products or reactants, which I'll get into in the next lecture.